Hi everyone. It's been some time since we've done a garden tour, but we have entered August and we have some beautiful things happening in the garden that have been happening for quite some time. And I figured, you know what? I need to do a garden tour. We're a little sparse up here in this front roadside garden. There's daffodils that are normally in there, and I sprinkled some seed for some things for it to grow over top of them, but that didn't necessarily work. So we're going to address that at some point in time. But this is the front gardens. We have a very robust spinning gourd that is growing across this trellis from the obelisks on either side. And I have to cut it back on a regular basis. Let me see if I can show you some of the spinning gourds. It does help that there's no plant there so that I can pop in here. Oh, there we go. There's some of the spinning gourds. So I'm excited for those, specifically for crafting. Um, we have a volunteer tomato up here from last year. So there's that. Our fountain's doing well. What I like about this front garden is the ageratum. I love the purple wispy color. We had a lot of yarrow in here. That's all been used and kind of died back. We have a little bit that's come out, and I think some feverfew making a return. Sedum, more ageratum on this side. There's some lavender in here, and baptisias back here in either quarter. I try to mirror. I do have to cut back this spinning gourd a fair amount because its runners just and suckers just go. And it's pretty thick in there, but it is starting to die back a little bit. So I'm trying to direct the runners so that I can continue to cover it. But normally the height of this is up here. So that's how far down. And it's been wild to try to control it, but quite fun. Okay, let's move on. We're gonna move over here. These are basically two remaining wooden beds. I don't really have very many wooden beds remaining anymore. But these are the only two. I have marigolds in there for a fall marigold crop. I like to give marigolds out during Halloween, which is close to other celebrations that use marigolds as well. So yeah, this bed's getting thrown out, not thrown out, but taken out soon. I do have some sunflowers in here. I've pretty much used this roadside one mostly for just something pretty along the road. And back here we have Gomphrena, which has gone through its big chop, and we have a lot of it drying inside. Some of it I need to go through and snag some more, but we should get another flush, I think, of Gomphrena after this chopping. There's Honesty back there, which I intentionally put there so that it will continue to grow back. This was put in marigolds about a month or so ago, and now they're big and tall and going to start blooming soon. And they're supported, but these are way taller than some of my other marigolds, so I'm not sure how well they're going to withstand wind when we eventually do get a thunderstorm with some big wind. This bed this was the second round of zinnias. And then I also have some cresspedia in here. I need to cut this one. I got the cresspedia as plugs from Burpee, but these are all zinnias that I seeded myself and direct seeded, actually, because zinnias direct seeded way better than growing them out as transplants. These are mostly the new zinnia varieties from Johnny Seeds. So they're Aurora, Ballerina. Oh gosh, what is the other one? Aurora Ballerina and something. I can't remember. But really pretty colors. There's a lot of orange in the ones that I have. I like all the different varieties. A lot of them look very cactusy, which is fun. And they've been really pretty in bouquets. Look at all if you follow on Instagram, which you should, and if you don't, go to Little Walter's Flower Farm. I do daily stuff on there, so you will see all of this and all the colors and things on a regular basis. This is the Black Sea Man tomato. It is the most prolific tomato. This one's blushing. That I have ever grown, and this year was the first year that I actually decided to grow some heirlooms because I had some people that wanted me to. It's a Russian heirloom, and it's good. I just don't necessarily like more of the slicers like this because they're a little too juicy for me. Soupy is really what the word that I use. But it produces really big and a lot when it gets what it needs. It does, unfortunately, crack very easily, which a lot of heirlooms do that, to my understanding. I am a Roma or cherry tomato girl. Here's the Honesty up close, which this is Dunzo, but it has definitely seeded in here, so we will have Honesty forever and a day. Let's see, let's go over here. We have some volunteers, which I kind of just let grow. I've been doing that all season. Oh, that's a mushroom I don't want. Okay. I've never planted Jewels of Opar over here. I've never planted Jewels of Opar in any of the places that you're going to see for the most part. It just finds its way into different places, and I don't necessarily stop it. I pull it out if I want to, but sometimes it adds a cool wispiness to the garden that I don't mind. This is Olivia Rose Austin, and she has decided to come out of her obelisk. And I'm okay with that. I will cut her back when it is time. She looks good. You can see the leaf cutter bees have gone to town on some of the leaves. It happens. The hydrangea that's in here is actually doing well this year. It is pink. I see some weeds back there that I need to go back and get. This garden over here next to our steps, I kind of plop stuff. I don't necessarily like some of the perennials in here I pay attention to, but I eventually this is going to get a little bit better of attention. Like the rose is intentional, the sedum is intentional, the hydrangea was intentional. But some of this other stuff, I'm going to try to be a little bit more intentional with this garden in the future, but I'm slowly working to figure out how I want to do in these different landscape beds. The raised beds, I always have a plan. Celosia, that has decided to pop up here. It's also inside of this zinnia bed from last year, I'm assuming. Down here, we also had some breadseed poppies. You get things in the cracks and the crevices. I leave them until I don't. Celosia was over here. This one keeps getting attacked by some sort of I'm assuming some sort of aphid situation. So it's serving as a host in that way. Squish all those out of there. So I'm leaving it, but it's likely never going to become pretty celosia blooms because it just keeps getting attacked by this bug. And it is what it is. I spray them off. I do as best as I can, but can only do so much. Baptisia here, which is really, really pretty. when it's in bloom, but also provides some really nice um, interest when it is not blooming. There was also nigella in there at one point in time, which you can see it's self-seeded. So we'll have more nigella throughout this. It's really pretty and whimsical. I like it when it's in bloom. Right next to where I had talked about the marigolds in this wooden bed, there's also some straw flower in here. I had a horrible year with statice, so I really didn't have much statice to put into bouquets or to dry, which is okay because I luckily have a good amount of statice left over from previous years, but this year has been a horrible year for statice. It is what it is. This is half a bed of celosia, and marigolds are in here as well, and you'll see they're not as tall as the other ones. I don't remember which type. I think these were from my last seeds of the floret celosias. So likely there's some spun sugar in here. Rose gold, maybe. I think that was one. But the marigolds look lovely. I love marigolds. I love the smell. It reminds me of my Nana and her gardens. And then I got plugs from Farmer Bailey's like small garden plants plug. So I didn't do the big, buying like big flats, just the small flats for Lisianthus. So this is the first succession I've already used, and this is the next one. I was just trying it out to see how it was. I'll likely get more next year. I also have some white marigolds. These are a little topply, but they're not too bad. I try to support them with like hoops and wires and things like that. But for the most part, it's cutting them is really what's going to be the most effective at controlling them. This is a next succession of sunflowers for the fall. There's a lot of reds in here. My red seeds for sunflowers haven't necessarily been germinating very well, so you'll see a lot of holes. But I went through and added more in just to see if I can fill in those gaps and spaces, because I want my sunflowers to be seeded thickly so that they don't have ginormous heads, which I don't like on sunflowers. And pretty much every bed that I flip out now is getting flipped to sunflowers. They will do well throughout the fall as the season changes, and a lot of other things won't. So that's what I've been flipping most things to. This is another succession of zinnia. It was very sparse in germination, so I had to go back through and add more seeds, but you'll see that those are coming up now, which is nice. I'm not sure what's going on with this little section here, but we should have some lush zinnia, hopefully sometime soon. And then on the corners of the big trellis, you can see it from the back. It's even more robust from the back and greener in the back, actually. I have Sweet William on the edges. I think those might have been plugs that I got from Farmer Bailey as well. Also at the end of this sunflower bed is amaranth. This amaranth was very tall and had big plumes, like bigger than this, which I have drying in the house. Got a bug in there. But I've cut those back, so now I will get the smaller stuff for fall bouquets, which is nice. I don't do a lot of amaranth because it attracts pigweed beetles, but I do like doing the reddish purple one because I think it looks really pretty in bouquets. We have this bed down here that I just flipped yesterday. It had sunflowers previous to this, and it got sunflowers again, so we'll hopefully have sunflowers later in the fall. At one point in time, I planted Jewels of Opar in this bed on the edge. Every year it comes back over here, and now it has decided to be over here and there and all sorts of places. It does also try to come back inside of this bed as well, but when I'm flipping this out, it usually gets zhuzhed up so it doesn't stick, but This is expanded to being a Jewels of Opar bed. Um, this is a red gem marigold. It was in the pathway, so I flipped it up. There's also parsley underneath of it, but it has gotten quite wild. But it's very, very pretty, I will say. And this is another marigold that's self-seeded. I can't remember what that one is, but it's totally self-seeded. This is, I believe, this is pumpkins, Casperita, and then there's a gourd back here as well. I thought that I had done a spinning gourd on here and Casperita here, but maybe I likely am wrong because I also did spinning gourd. This is my gourd trellis over my seating area in the front gardens. I also did spinning gourd in here after the sweet peas were done because I wanted this to be potentially covered up for fall sitting out in the sun. But they provide like this spinning gourd provides deep protection. I will show you because I have it in the back gardens as well on another trellis. I love trellises, and this thing is just kind of taken off, so it's gonna look cool. And I have to regularly redirect it because it decides that it wants to go into the bed that is here, which has straw flowers and status. Straw flowers are doing good this year. Status, like I said, is not. We have more marigolds here, and it's mixed in with the one blueberry bush, and then I threw some dahlias in here. Dahlias really don't do that great in my area, I think. I mean, they can, but for like production wise, for a flower farm, I just am not that impressed by them in comparison to other places. So I kind of have them more so for decoration and to like fill in spaces and hope that I can get something. And when I do, they dry very well. So I like dahlias for drying too. But this is this little area, and then right in here is San Marzano, and those are doing quite well. For me, San Marzano, like it produces a lot more later in the season, not as much earlier in the season. Like I have one or two that are ready in there. I did have to trim it back a lot recently. Squash bugs. Ugh. Because it gets disease very easily, even though like I have it all trimmed up. It shouldn't be anything related to like soil hitting it. It gets icky leaves very easily. So these are dahlias that I had here, and then marigolds along here. And this is another bed where I oftentimes will just throw things because, like I said, I'm still working on landscape beds and getting in perennials where I need to get in perennials, but I'll fill in spaces with like annual type things. So this is some Gomphrena that didn't fit the other little bed of Gomphrena that I had. It's doing, looks like it's doing quite well here. I will likely need to come in and do a little trim soon. I don't use Gomphrena in bouquets. Some people do. I don't and haven't needed to because I have plenty of other stuff, and I break it very easily when I try to put it in a bouquet. So there's that. This is a new rose this year. It's Coco Loco. It's bloomed a few times, and I keep cutting it back so it will grow more, but it's very, very pretty. It's like a mauve color. I really enjoy it. This bed is loved by pollinators, so I really don't touch it too much. I might cut some of the Rudbeckia, but that's about it. Like I can't use any of the Veronica. The bees are obsessed with it. I threw in bachelor button seeds in this bed this year, and that was very whimsical and pretty. There's also lavender along this side over here. And As far as status goes, this bed probably has had the nicest status plants. But again, it hasn't been really that great this year. So I don't know. I need to figure out what I'm going to do with status next year. Because I do need to grow it, particularly for dried flower stuff. This is strawberry area. I call this side the south side, Berry Island, because most of the berries are along our south side. These are strawberries. These are newer ones this year. The other ones tapped out from, they were way old. So I replaced their seascape. I can't remember, did I put any June bearings in here? Maybe. And then the blackberry bushes. If you follow us on Instagram, again, you would have seen all of the blackberry updates, but we have a lot less blackberries right now because we've been picking on them, and I have gallons and gallons inside of blackberries. And they've been quite yummy. In particular, Lillian loves them. This was chock full of blackberries, and we've been trimming next year's branches so that we can have bushier plants, and that has worked out quite well. This is the best blackberry year. The loofah. It's taken a while for this loofah to take off, and I don't know why. It changes every year. Oh, hi, Louie. Do you want blackberry treats? Good girl. Delicious. And it's now wrapped around the deck, but we've just started getting gourds on it. This is reminiscent of, I want to say, our first year growing loofah, I would say. It was all greenery and hardly any gourds. Last year, it was mostly gourds, hardly any greenery. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it's pretty long. I have loved the new beds that I've put in along this fence. I just did some bricks, and there is a Vigo bed, but this one is mostly bricks. I do have a backing on it, some edging to keep weeds from elsewhere coming in, but we have ageratum here, and then it's mostly dahlias. Even if the dahlias provide just the foliage, I'm excited by that, and like pops of color here or there. I wasn't expecting much out of the dahlias because I don't normally get much out of the dahlias. This side needs lots of work. There's a weed issue, a thistle issue, but the sedum looks good. What in the? Oh, okay. I think that's a loofah. Anyways, sedum looks good over here. And I really love the little flagstone paths that I put in. When I did that in the fall last year. Yeah. And I think that adds to this whole experience over here. But I have some just regular schmegular dahlias, nothing too fancy. The loofah's still going along. I like to pop in some like supertunias and things like that as low cover. I need to do some weeding in here as per usual. My scabiosa didn't do well this year, so I only have one. But that's fine, because I have plenty of other flowers. Oh, hey! Oop. There we go. I need to trim back this Rudbeckia, because it's looking a little tattered. There's Rudbeckia and ageratum in here, and unfortunately some false bindweed that is just everywhere in mine and all of my neighbors' yards, and it's just horrendous and horrible and hard to get rid of. But we'll do a big weeding once all of these come out, because I have these planted really thick in hopes that I won't have weeds, but it's not always what happens. There was feverfew here, and it was very ratty, and I didn't like the way that it looked, so I took that out made the bed higher, finished the wall, and for the remaining of the season, I just have some super petunias in there. And this is just weeds from other areas that need to get cut. A few in here with calendula, which is doing a good job of being a trap crop for bugs that I don't like. And then we kind of wrap around and have, obviously, the loofah has made it all the way down to here. There's raspberry in here. I've just planted in some sunflowers for the season, but this was filled with ranunculus previously. And then I also threw in some super petunias as well, and there's peonies in here. So once the peonies kind of fluff out over the next few years, it will take up a lot more space, and I will just grow annuals in between to help with weeds, like I'm sort of doing now, but not as thick, I guess, because the peonies will be there. That sedum's ginormous. Some of the sedum's short, some of the sedum's tall. I don't know how it goes. There's baptisia over here, more sedum, hydrangea, hosta. These were first year gladiolas. I don't think any of them bloomed. I think I need to add more compost on top of them. All these beds will get, the ones that have shrunk will get a layer of compost before the season, before we go into winter fully. And then I have some baskets with some super petunias in them. They had Cherry Falls tomatoes in them at one point. And then I switch them out once those tomatoes are done. But this is Joan Jay, and she's a prolific raspberry grower and thornless. And so in the first year, I have 5 plants. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5. I got them from Burpee, and good foliage for flowers, but also for berries. And the other Joan Jays are over here. So this is berry area over here. We have 2 in this bed and 2 in this bed. I think I want to add some other flowers in here just to cover up the blank spots, but who knows? She might come back real thick next year, so won't need to do that. Feverfew is coming back in this bed. It has a rose in it. I don't know if this rose is going to stay here. It got hammered by aphids this year. Hammered. So we'll see what happens. But I have Sweet William in this bed with the raspberries, and I really like that. I think it's a good balance of color. It goes with the raspberry color, so I think I might do that similar in that bed next year. But we're getting nice, cutie raspberries. Not big flushes because, like, again, this is its first year. And we'll do a big cutback at some point. Sweet William that I just threw on the ground and it decided to grow there. So it makes me realize, like, oh, I have these little pockets on the ground that I could be growing things or like sprinkling in some whimsy, like Nigella or whatever. So I think I'm paying more attention to that this year, so that there's some whimsy around these structured pieces that I can very easily seed myself. This tomato is called Brown Sugar. It's pretty good. Again, another heirloom I'm trying out. Not too big of fruits, but I've been using it in salsa and sauces, so pretty good. This is the tomatillo area. They are way bigger than they're supposed to be, like small. That might be because of what I planted them in, but there's 2 in here, as well as a super bush tomato. There's a pepper plant too, but the pepper plant I don't think is really doing anything. I was just like, I have extra, let me plant here. But you'll see, like, it's fallen out of its like cage, and extra support that I put in, and I've just been trying to keep it alive at this point because I think it's struggling. It was struggling with the really great heat that we had about 2 weeks ago. We've cooled off a little bit. Um, we'll have heat again, but I've just been trying to keep things watered and hopefully it'll be okay. Let's pan over to my volunteer pumpkin. Didn't plant that. Think a squirrel did. It is main area is next to the fountain, uh, and it has 7 pumpkins on it as of today. If you saw on Instagram, I only found 6 yesterday, or 5, and I said, "Oh, I bet you there's 6." Well, there's 7. I was looking around a little bit more today. Every day, something new, but it's taken over our fire pit area, so we won't be having any fire pits anytime soon, which is fine. It's still August and it's too hot for that. I need to figure out the landscape area back there with flowers. Um, I had hosta back there, I want to say, and I can't. It's a struggle because a lot of creatures play around back there, and things just get smushed. Um, this area over here is one of my favorites. This is the tomato wall. This tomato is gone wild and I can't reach it to cut off the suckers at the top. I've just kind of let it go. I've interplanted things in there, so there's basil in there. I've been making basil salt, but I have tons of tomatoes. Strawberry Fields is in there. Ruby Crush, which is a favorite cherry style tomato or grape style, one of those of mine. Super Sweet 100, and I can't remember the other one that's in there, but I like more cherry style. And then the slicers I've been putting in the tall Titan obelisks for the most part. And so that's an Amano that's over there. It's a yellow heirloom style. And here's another super bush, which is a lot larger than I thought it was going to be, but that's okay. It's good stuff. And Strawberry Fields is a slicer that I do like, and this one is ready to be picked. We've slowed down a little bit with picking. Like every day, it was like overload, but they definitely slowed down. I think because it has cooled off a little, and like temperature has shifted. And by cooled off, I mean like 77, 80 during the day. My favorite part of back here is this arch. It's so pretty. Um, it had sweet peas on it, and it's an arch actually for the um, rose that I have right here. But it's in its first year, so it's slowly working its way. And I actually think that the gourd coverage is helping it grow better. Um, and I can see it growing a lot more now that the gourds have the spinning gourd has really taken over. So I don't know if it was just too hot or whatever it may be, but it's really taken off. It flowered more so in spring. But there's a whole bunch of gourds under here. And this gourd, once it takes off, but it didn't really start taking off for a while. And it's just one right down in here. And one plant has done all of this. It's kind of wild. Anyways, so we're in this room. I like creating little room spaces. And I have Carmen peppers in here. I like protecting peppers from the harsh afternoon sun, and I have that. So I've always grown peppers on the inside here. So I have Carmen peppers. This has 3 different types of peppers in there. Jalapenos. I think it might be 3 different types of jalapenos. I think there's a golden marconi in here, and a shishito, and maybe 2 shishitos in here. But you can see the back of the tomato wall in this whole area. It's very peaceful in here. I really like it. I start seeds in here. It's fun. Uh, this is another black seaman tomato. Doesn't necessarily like this spot, which understandable because it's kind of blocked by everything else. I just had a planter that I didn't place, so I threw it here and I threw an extra tomato in there. Um, so no big deal. I need to get this rosemary in the ground. It's going to go in that blank spot on the south side in that garden over there. This bed along the greenhouse, which is very luscious, is eggplants and peppers. So there are pepperoncinis, serranos. I'm going to make a hot sauce. Jalapenos. I did not go ham on jalapenos. I normally do because of cowboy candy, but I have 32 tubs of cowboy candy legitimately in my freezer. So I did not do that. I'm growing poblano for the first time. Um, and serranos, poblanos. I think that's all those that are in here. And the eggplants are on the edge, which I really like the look of the eggplant on the edge and like that contrast, like bigger leaf into smaller leaf, in connection with the greenhouse. Gardening is, you know, most of it is gardening for the things, and the other part is design. uh, these are Carmen peppers that are basically ready to go. Just almost all red, and I'm very excited about them. They are delicious in salsa, but I'll be using them this week for a gathering that we're having. This is another tomato. I'm growing like 17 different types of tomatoes, I think. I think this is Inca Jewels. I just wanted to try out different Romas and bush style smaller Romas. So I have them spotted in different places. This one's pretty good. It has a lot of fruits on it. It takes a really long time for them to ripen, I've noticed. But also Romas, I've found I don't really have them ripening, and a lot of them until later. I don't know why that is. But this is the garden area over here, and it has a fountain there. So there's a solar fountain in it, which currently gets a little bit blocked because I put sunflowers over here after I flipped out onions. And this bed had some issues with compacted soil, and I didn't get as best of an onion harvest back here. So one of the reasons why I threw in sunflowers was to help aerate that soil. And I will make it nice and fluffy for the next iteration of whatever I put back here, which might again be sunflowers. We'll see. This, I need to come through and do some cleaning up of some diseased leaves. This is gold medal. It's an heirloom. It did not produce a lot. It does have some flowers up here, but I don't know if anything is going to happen with that. Yeah, that's what I've been learning with the heirlooms. A lot of them don't produce a lot. Some of them produce more. It is what it is. This is another bed of marigolds. It was sunflowers at one point in time. Um, and I interplanted some branching sunflowers into here as well. So they'll support each other. Hopefully, there'll be a whole good situation back here for these flowers going into fall. And this likely is going to be a little bit more decorative. I will probably use the marigolds and things, but more so for decoration, just to make sure things don't look blank going into fall. This is a sakura. Tomato. I'm like, what is that? Tomato. And it took a while for this to take off, but it's doing quite well now. And I've been in this along this area. I've been figuring out how I can like put edge pieces that are not a part of the bed, but don't take over the grass area. Um, so this was one of those experiments, and I like it. I can still walk around. There's plenty of space. It works. This is where I was growing primarily all of my basil. which is now getting to the point where I can cut it and use it in bouquets, which matches for the fall. This is cardinal basil, which I love because I love this top flower. And then I also have some cinnamon basil too, which I've used other points and times in the season. So, and this is Vigo has a trellis system that you can attach to your beds with twine. And so that is what I have. It's very easy to do. And these were suckers from other plants, tomato plants, and it serves as like potentially a second round. We'll see if that actually happens. Second round tomatoes don't really work for me here, but I did also add in some peas that could trellis up here. And yeah, I think I added peas in here. So if the tomatoes don't work out, it's not a big deal. And then I also have marigolds in here. I try to have marigolds in lots of places. They just do so well and are a good like pop of color and are really good inside of a bouquet for foliage as well as the flower itself. Let's see, in here I just had so many of these cactus style zinnia seeds, which a lot of these don't look like cactus zinnia. I'm confused by that, but I was like, you know what? Garlic's out. Let me just throw something in there that is easy to do. And so it was these. They're not supported at all like I do my other ones. This is more so for color, and I'll likely use a lot of these for drying, but also maybe to pop in if I need some extra for bouquets at some point in time. So we'll see. This is the string bean bed. This is a French string bean, which has a lot of flowers, but it hasn't really produced anything yet. So it takes a long time, I guess. Jade bush beans are my favorite, and they're right in there. And I've been using those, and I eat them with salmon. And then I had some purple burgundy beans, which I also use in salmon dishes. You can see the beans there. I eat them like once a week, so I'm not looking to like preserve them or anything. These are snacking peppers. They're looking a little light green, so they probably need a top dressing of compost and some nutrients because they're probably like, I need help. But this was an experiment area. This has been the watermelon area, and it has done very well. The watermelon is actually planted in that back bed, and it has moved over into this bed. So it's, I think there's 2 plants, and I think we've gotten 5 watermelons from it. Last night I made a macrame little watermelon sling because some of them are just hanging funny. They can support themselves, but sometimes they just hang a little funny. So I made a little sling for it, and it's made with t-shirt yarn so that it can expand with the fruit very easily. It's very stretchy. And there's more flowers, it looks like, on the plant back here. So we might get some more watermelons. And then we have peppers in here. A lot of, well, these are the snacking peppers, which actually take a long time. But we have a lot of peppers for pickling in particular. So banana peppers, shishito, pepperoncinis, things like that. But this bed was originally cucumbers. I let it rest a little bit, and the bugs are kind of going away. And so I've replanted cucumbers again for the fall, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see. This was a big plum regal. It has a lot of fruit now, again with those aromas, but is very bushy, not as many fruit as I had hoped, and it takes a long time to ripen, and it had a lot of disease on it for no good reason. So I did a lot of trimming more recently. But it was helpful and supportive of the cucumbers at one point in time. Back here in this corner is a bumblebee, an artisan bumblebee. It did well. It's good. It's not my favorite grape style tomato, so I just kind of threw it back here because I had an extra because I was growing it for someone else. Lots of peppers over here, mostly Carmen's, I would say. Always have to redirect the peppers so that they actually have the support that they need. Mostly Carmen's, some peppers to make chili powder. So chili peppers or pepper powder. That's what I've been doing more recently is making like my own little pepper spice blends. I really like this pepper. It's called Pizza My Heart. Pizza My Heart. Yeah. And the peppers kind of look like little hearts when they're full size, when they're red too. So it's kind of cute. And here's a pepper that's ready. So I've been dehydrating and making stuff with peppers, the serranos and the jalapeno. I'm just mixing all the things together. I need to pickle banana peppers today. But this is the pepper area. I like this is a pepper area because it gets afternoon afternoon shade, which helps out the peppers a lot. There's a nice pepper in there. They will get some scald, even though. So it is what it is. But this is I like this area a lot for peppers. You can kind of see this whole situation. Our hose link, love it. And then another basket. I like baskets hang on things. This is a Marconi. Look at that. That's so pretty. And it's like so smooth. I just love it. This one has been productive. This one is just starting to have, and I don't know why it's taken so long, but they're very tall. And our lilac, which was very productive this year, I loved it. And I made lilac lemonade. And then I have, what do you call them? Gladiolas, just some things sprinkled in here. I want to show you, this rose is a little wild. I need to turn it back, but it's doing very good. One of my favorite things is walking down this pathway on the side of my house and then basically opens up to like this garden majestic room, which I love. So, you're like do and walking and majestic. And then there's different rooms within, which I think is fun. Let's see. Along the north side, which is basically all shade most of the time, there's sun, enough sun that scorches some things. We have peony, we have some gladiolas, and some rudbeckia. There are some lilies that are here, some veronica, sedum, hostas. This was a hydrangea that I thought was toast, and it kind of sort of came back. This is a hellebore and another hosta and more gladiolas. And then all along this side, which is basically all shade. Oh my gosh. This hellebore is blooming. Or put out okay. This is hellebores along here. This area needs some work, but it's way better than it used to be. Hellebores, hosta, hellebores, and these hostas underneath the rain barrels do the best. These are our rain barrels, like 150 gallons, maybe more than that. It's a rain barrel system that Steve set up. I think I have a video about that. If not, let me know if you're interested in knowing how he set up the system. There's a whole piping system. There's a first flush system. It's hooked up to a pump so that I can use it to pump the water to go water the garden. This is the first flush system. It basically takes all of the gunk from the roof first into this pipe. And then once that's full, it's like about 4 feet. It's kind of standard for how much long you need to wait for gunk to come off a roof. Then it'll start going into the barrels, and then there's an overflow that goes back out just in case. But it's a pretty simple system. So you have the first flush, and then it fills from the bottom up. And this gauge is how much water is across all of them, not just the one on the end. And once it gets a little low, you have to use a pump to get it out. But sometimes I just use this front hose if I'm just needing to water something really quick. So there's options related to it. This is the best status, I think, that I have. I don't know why. But that's really the only status that's growing well. It's water! Hi, little boy! What are you doing? And then last but not least, maybe it is the least, I have a strawberry green stalk up here. Also had this tomato. I've just been leaving it. Strawberry green stalk, which just stays. These had onions in it. The onions did the best in the green stalks. And this is the back side of the loofah. And it's actually where you can see, actually, loofah's growing. So yeah, that is the tour, my friends.